When I decided to enter the forest, my goal was simple. I wanted to find the quickest route to the village on the other side. Initially, I planned to follow the main road, but after checking the map, I saw a shortcut through the forest. The route seemed shorter and more direct. With high spirits, I left the main road and entered the forest. At first, everything seemed normal. The forest, though dense, was not too frightening. The distant sounds of birds and trickling water were calming. As I moved through the thick forest, the cold air stung my skin. Darkness began to envelop the surroundings as the sun set, leaving only a dim light between the dense trees. Forest sounds emerged, rustling leaves, shifting branches, and the occasional roar of unseen wildlife. I continued on, trying to calm myself despite the creeping anxiety. Soon, a small village appeared ahead. Isolated and forlorn, it was shrouded in a thin mist that made it look almost unreal. The old wooden houses stood in a row, as if time had stopped here. My steps felt heavy as I approached the village, and the atmosphere suddenly felt strange. Each house seemed empty, with windows tightly shut and doors that seemed never to have been opened. Every step echoed on the quiet gravel road, and the streetlights that should have illuminated the way were out. As the sun began to set, I found an inn at the edge of the village. With night falling, I decided to stay there. When I went up to the second floor to reach my room, I saw a tall figure standing at the end of the corridor. Feeling uneasy, I spoke calmly. "I'm not here to disturb, just to rest." The figure nodded slowly, then backed away and vanished into the darkness. I knew I needed to leave before nightfall grew deeper. However, as I turned to return to the forest path, the surroundings felt increasingly oppressive. The forest around the village seemed darker, and I felt an unnatural chill enveloping my body. Fear took over my mind. I ran quickly, leaving the strange village behind, hoping the forest would lead me far from what felt like a nightmare. I continued my journey through the dense forest, but I couldn't find an exit. That night, I decided to set up my tent in the forest. I was suffering from a stomach ache and had to venture deep into the woods to find a place to relieve myself. At that moment, I felt an eerie vibration, as if a large creature was nearby. The trees and leaves around me moved, but I was too weak to react. When I returned to the tent, I was exhausted and shivering from hunger. During my trek, I was startled to see a giant snake with a crown moving between the tall trees. I proceeded cautiously, trying to stay calm despite my fatigue. The next day, I continued and entered a darker part of the forest. Suddenly, a towering figure blocked my path and threatened. "You've disturbed my domain. You're not permitted here." I quickly prayed, and the figure slowly vanished into the woods. After the encounter, I pressed on and eventually found a small village. However, it seemed to be inhabited only by a few workers and had no stores. I couldn't buy any supplies. The villagers told me that I needed to find a river first before I could leave the forest and continue my journey. I continued and finally came across a relatively open area. I set up my tent there and spent the night. The next morning, I discovered a small river teeming with fish. I caught a few fish, cooked them, and, after lunch, resumed my journey. During the trip, I stumbled upon a village that felt unusual. The people here dressed like characters from the past. When I greeted an old man, he responded kindly but said that this village was inhabited by supernatural beings. He told me I was lost and might have been misled by a jinn, causing me to go the wrong way. The old man gave me directions, and before I could thank him, he suddenly disappeared. I followed his guidance and eventually reached a large river. At the riverbank, I felt a sense of relief and decided to rest and bathe. Amidst the natural calm, I finally felt a bit at ease and ready to continue my journey to the outside world. After bathing in the clear and refreshing river, I decided to camp by its side for the night. With enthusiasm, I set up my camping tent in a strategic location near the calm water flow. While preparing the tent, I collected dry twigs and other fuel from the surroundings to build a campfire. The tranquil forest sounds, accompanied by bird chirps, added to the serene atmosphere around me. The campfire soon blazed, and I placed a pot over it to boil water. Since it took some time, I decided to make use of it by fishing. Slowly and carefully, I used traditional fishing techniques and eventually caught some fresh fish. I carefully grilled the fish over the campfire, and the delicious aroma of the grilling fish filled the air, heightening my deep hunger. As I enjoyed the grilled fish while admiring the surroundings, my attention was drawn to a whirlpool in the middle of the river. The whirlpool formed unusual patterns and seemed to dance with the current. Intrigued, I watched the whirlpool more closely. Suddenly, from within the whirlpool, emerged a stunningly rare white crocodile. Its clean, shimmering skin reflected the sunlight, creating a striking contrast with the darker water around it. I was captivated by the appearance of this rare creature and couldn't look away from the mesmerizing sight. However, the surprise didn't end there. While I was fascinated by the white crocodile, I realized that several other crocodiles were also along the riverbank. They appeared to be observing intently, as if guarding their territory. Some of them looked larger and more formidable, adding to the tense yet fascinating atmosphere. The presence of these crocodiles made me feel a mix of tension and awe, highlighting the immense and mysterious power of the wild nature surrounding me. As night began to fall, I sat around the campfire, reflecting on the extraordinary experience I had just had. The quiet forest sounds and the rustling of leaves in the wind added to the calmness of the night. I felt grateful for having witnessed something so special, and with a sense of satisfaction, I retired to my tent to rest, realizing that this day had become one of the most treasured experiences of my life. Welcome to my channel. I want to share a challenge I'm currently facing. Despite my enthusiasm for creating valuable, informative, and engaging content, I'm struggling due to not having a suitable camera. This limitation significantly affects the quality of the videos I can produce, and it's frustrating not being able to deliver the best possible experience to you. Quality content is my top priority, and I believe that with better equipment, I can provide a much improved and satisfying viewing experience. Therefore, I humbly ask for your support. If any of you are willing to donate to help purchase the necessary camera, your contribution would be immensely valuable and have a significant impact on the growth of this channel. Every donation, whether large or small, will greatly help us move closer to this goal. Thank you so much for your attention, support, and contributions. Your support not only helps me personally, but also plays a crucial role in enhancing the quality and variety of the content I can offer. I hope we can continue to grow and succeed together on this channel.